Good evening. Welcome to the StormCast. My name is Joey Pisani, and I will be your host for this evening's blab. We've got a couple different topics we're going to be talking about tonight. One of them, storm preparedness. We're going to talk about the heat wave that's going to continue for much of this week across portions of the central and southeast. And we're also going to be talking severe weather and also taking a look at our extended tropical outlook for the rest of the month. Want to welcome CJ to the blab here with us, one of the members of the EWV Live Network. So good to have you on the blab tonight, CJ. We'll try and get him on the air. Here he is. How are you doing tonight there, CJ?
Good. How about yourself?
How's the weather been up there? Pretty hot, huh?
Yeah, hot, but normal.
Yeah, it's been in the 90s plus here for, at least the past week, 5-6 days. That's going to continue. Tomorrow's supposed to be 98 degrees here in Atlanta, not including the heat index. So it's going to be a really hot one tomorrow. It's supposed to stay in the 90s through Friday. But our thunderstorm chances are also supposed to increase as we get into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That slow-moving cold front that's supposed to trigger a lot of the severe weather for tomorrow will end up finally moving through, and we'll cool back down into possibly the lower 80s. So that is what is going on.
Well, tomorrow it's supposed to be 84 here, so.
Okay, not too bad.
Yeah, it was 88 today, so
That's
a little bit of cooling. And then Tuesday will be 88, Wednesday 90. Get a mid cool down on Friday, and Thursday will be 88, 72, and Saturday 79.
Gotcha. Well, another thing we wanted to talk about tonight, there you go, yeah. Another thing we want to talk about, I know we talked about on the Facebook chat tonight and on Zello, is storm preparedness, which I think is a very good topic for tonight. We have now joining us Jesse. So good to have you on the blab tonight. Welcome to the blab.
She has a nice hair.
So I want to obviously we're now in hurricane season, so we have severe weather season, in the midst of severe weather season, especially across portions of the northern plains. We'll get to that in a little bit. But some folks are like, they hear storm preparedness or hurricane preparedness or weather preparedness, but they're like, what exactly is that, So what I want to do tonight is I kind of want to break it down into different categories. So first we're going to start with what I call severe storm preparedness kit. This is for you severe weather, tornadoes, flooding, all that type of stuff. Things that you want to make sure that you have in case weather threatened your area. The thing you want to have is going to be water. You want to make sure that you have at least enough for 3 to 7 days. Like, let's say a tornado goes through your area, you may not have electricity for a couple of weeks, after a strong, devastating tornado. So you want to make sure you have water available and food for at least 3 to 7 days, preferably, non-perishable canned foods, snack foods, stuff like that. Then obviously, make sure you have a first aid kit. That is important. First aid kit with medicines, any prescription drugs. If you have any, children or elderly, you want to make sure you have special items for them. Have all these things stocked up. Flashlight and batteries. That's really important. Obviously, have a weather radio if possible and a clock. Cell phone fully charged. Have emergency numbers in your cell phone, for your local county emergency management office, weather service office, emergency contact, stuff like that. Also, this is one that I think a lot of people fail to think about is having cash on hand. Because if you don't have any cash on hand and all the electricity goes out, your ATM card, credit card, that's going to be completely useless, and you're not going to be able to, buy any supplies that you need immediately following the storm. Because again, if power is out for like 2 weeks in your county or even a couple counties around you, then not having any cash, you're going to be hurting. Obviously, make sure you have keys. Have toys, books, and games available for families with kids, something to keep the kids entertained and stuff like that. And always make sure you know where your important documents are. If possible, have them in some sort of a waterproof container or bag. We see things like, this flooding in Texas and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you have, insurance cards, medical records, bank account numbers, all that important birth certificate stuff in something that's going to be protected from the weather. And then another good thing is have the, basic toolkit, screwdrivers, duct tape, work gloves, safety goggles, all that stuff. So after a storm comes through, if you have tree branches down or stuff like that, you're safe while you're out there. Make sure anytime you know that a significant severe weather event's approaching your area, make sure you fill up your car or your vehicle with gas. Make sure your pets also have enough supply of food and water, properly ID'd and stuff like that in case they get lost. And then obviously, going more into the flooding aspect, if there is flooding that happens here, like we've seen a lot of flooding recently in Texas, right? We want to make sure that, we keep our family and friends out of any flooded basements and to avoid any electrical shock. Because a lot of times in the basement is where, your electric panel and stuff like that is. Keep away from down power lines before, during, and after a storm. And then anytime if you're using a generator, you want to make sure that you have it properly hooked up and follow all the manufacturer's recommendations. Never plug a generator into a wall outlet or directly into your home's wiring. That is a bad idea. I lived down in Miami, Florida for 7 years, and so I went through numerous tropical storms and hurricanes. And never plug a generator into your home electrical system because you'll just end up frying everything. I've seen it happen before. It's not good. So those are some basic storm preparedness kits and safety tips. Jesse, CJ, do you guys have anything to add to that?
And also,
I had a friend that lived down in Florida, and they had a basement, and it flooded. Well, the kid thought they had a little kid that thought it was a swimming pool.
Yeah, and that is why, again, if basements flood, no, they're not swimming pools. You definitely don't even want to go into any flooded basements or things like that. It's not safe. Because again, sometimes power, you don't know if it goes out, it may come back on. There could be residual energy still in those lines and stuff like that. That's important.
Also, make sure the fire department knows where you're at, so they know where to rescue you at.
Exactly. CJ here, you volunteer with a fire department, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So from a fireman's perspective of view, what additional insights do you recommend for emergency or storm preparedness? Like, what do they tell you guys at the fire department?
I'm going to go from Hurricane Katrina perspective. If the flooding is almost, if you own a 2-story apartment, it's rising, get to the highest ground you can get, and have something so that we can see you, like clean shirt, something bright, towels, so a chopper can see you or anything. Make sure you have the full supply kit or more, depending on how big your family is.
That is an excellent point that you bring up there, CJ, about having something bright. That if you get trapped, say on a rooftop or in an upper story floor of a home, that you can hang it out the window so emergency crews can identify that there are people there. That is an excellent tip there. So thank you for that.
And also, even if a tornado comes through, stay away from down wires. Anything electric until the electric company can come to your street and turn off the electric, because it can still kill you.
Exactly. So excellent storm preparedness tips here tonight, brought to you by the EWV Live Network. Jesse, you have any additional insights on storm preparedness from any of your experience?
No.
All right, so that's severe storm preparedness. Now, I want to talk about a little bit more specific about hurricane preparedness. Because severe storm preparedness and hurricane preparedness, it's similar, but usually with hurricane preparedness, the effects can last, we're talking possibly in some situations, they can last, a couple months. So obviously, with hurricane preparedness, what we always encourage people to do is to make a hurricane plan, emergency plan. Also with hurricanes, evacuation plans, because obviously with hurricanes, we're able to, forecast them, 3 to 5 days out. So with hurricanes, planning is just as important as being prepared when it actually strikes. So concerning evacuation plans, you want to know like what route you're going to take. I remember down in Florida, obviously there's only so many highways, 2 or 3 main highways that go out of the state. A lot of people would evacuate, up to Orlando or somewhere in central Florida, maybe try and get into southern Georgia and stuff like that. So it's important to, first of all, protect yourself and your family with a family emergency plan. Be sure when considering hurricanes, if they issue the order for a mandatory evacuation, that's why you want to plan out locations where you can stay away from home, whether it's with family or friends or, at a motel somewhere. Also, business owners and site locations definitely need to create workplace plans for hurricanes and tropical storms. And obviously, schools and daycares also have school emergency plans. And we also, we always talk about, pet owners need to have plans about how they're going to take care of their pets, how they're going to transport their pets from point A to point B. And then also, depending on where you live, being aware of marine safety. If you are near the water, knowing which area are prone to flooding from storm surge and stuff like that. And then, obviously, with any sort of landfalling tropical system, with the flooding and the storm surge, we also have, the health and environment threats. So it's good to look at things like the CDC has basically health considerations before, during, and after a hurricane that you can look up on their website. And same thing with FDA, obviously if the water is contaminated, they're going to have, that boil water order in place. So you want to make sure you have, a way to boil water, whether it's a gas stove or some way that you can, boil water and stuff like that. So once you run out of, bottled water or whatever, you still have access to water and stuff like that. And then evacuations, always check into FEMA's evacuation guidelines. You want to make sure you give yourself enough time to pack, prepare your house before you leave, and then also give yourself enough time to leave, and always follow your instructions given by local officials. Leave immediately if you are ordered to do so. And, consider your protection options to decide whether to stay or to evacuate your home if you are not ordered to evacuate. You know, sometimes they do voluntary evacuations, so it's important to know what your risk is at your given location.
And always check what the National Weather Service has predicted for your area.
Exactly, because what may be happening in your area, it may not be the same, you know, just a couple counties away. It could be completely different orders. So it's, again, that's another reason why it's important to pay attention to your specific, you know, county, local officials and stuff like that, because it can vary greatly from one county to the next. Like I know when we lived down in Florida, what was happening in Miami-Dade County, down where Miami is at, is completely different from what was happening in Broward County or Palm Beach County, which were just 1-2 counties away. Because of the lower elevation of a lot of the area of Miami-Dade County, it would get evacuated within about 5 miles of the coast. A lot of it, you know, would have to get evacuated and stuff like that. And also, talking about evacuations, mobile homes. Anytime if you live in a mobile home for any sort of severe weather, hurricane stuff, never ever take the chance on trying to ride out any sort of significant weather in a mobile home. Even if it's, you know, tied and to the ground, it's still a high risk hazard of being in a mobile home during any landfalling tropical storm, hurricane, or a severe weather outbreak. Always seek a sturdy, sheltered building, and, you know, stay away from windows and doors and stuff like that. So those are some safety storm preparedness tips for you tonight here, brought to you by the Extreme Weather Videos Network. One.
From Georgia's most breathtaking real-life thrills to an eye-popping encounter with Yogi Bear in 4D, to a laser-lit night charged with the anticipation of something so new, so magnificent, so incredible. Wow! You have to come see it to believe it. All day and into the night, Stone Mountain Park is one adventure after another.
And this next section is brought to you by Georgia's Stone Mountain Park, where I actually work. It is awesome, and I definitely invite all of you guys to come up and visit Stone Mountain Park sometime. We're going to get CJ back in here. And our next topic is going to be this heat wave that is continuing for much of the country. And our next topic for this evening is the heat wave that is going to be continuing. We are going to be looking at some of the hottest temperatures so far in 2016 for the Plains, Midwest, and the South. Many cities east of the Rockies have already seen their hottest temperatures of 2016 in the last couple of days. On Sunday, today, highs were well into the 90s across a large swath of the Plains, Midwest, South, and even the Mid-Atlantic. Daily record high temperatures were set or tied in Atlantic City, New Jersey, 93 degrees today. St. Louis, Missouri, 98 degrees and tie. New Bern, North Carolina, 95 degrees. They tied. North Charleston, South Carolina, 97 degrees, set a record. Asheville, North Carolina, 91 degrees, a tie. And North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, set a record today of 95 degrees. Daily record high temperatures were also set or tied on Saturday in Rapid City, South Dakota. They hit 101 degrees. That was a tie. Yesterday here in Atlanta, Georgia, we also tied our record of 96. And Cleveland, Ohio set a record of 94. Columbus, Ohio also tied their record high yesterday of 95. Chicago actually reached 90 degrees for the first time in 2016 on Friday and Saturday, but much cooler conditions are going to prevail today. Detroit and Cincinnati both recorded their first 90-degree day of the season on Saturday with highs of 91 and 90 degrees. Dan, tell us about the heat that we're going to be seeing through the early part of this week, Monday through Wednesday?
Yeah, it's going to stay hot. Wichita is going to start off at about 93 degrees on Monday, heating up to 100 on Tuesday and 103 by Wednesday.
Ooh, that's some hot air.
Yeah, St. Louis is going to start off hot, 95 tomorrow on Monday, and again on Tuesday, and up to 99 degrees on Wednesday.
Man.
Nashville is going to start off hot on Monday, 96, slightly cooler on Tuesday, down to 92, but then back up to 95 on Wednesday. Charlotte is going to start at 92 on Monday and 95 both on Tuesday and Wednesday, and even Atlanta is going to be starting off real hot on Monday at 97, slightly cooler Tuesday, down to 94, and 91 on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be looking for that relief here in Atlanta by Wednesday. That's going to be good. So the hot conditions are going to persist into Monday, with the core of the heat centered from the Ohio Valley into the Carolinas. Highs, again, are going to rise into the 90s, which is 5 to 15 degrees above average. On Monday, we could see some more daily record highs broken. Atlanta possibly breaking their record of 98 degrees set back in 1958. Charlotte, North Carolina, another city that could possibly break their record high of 97 degrees set back in 1958. Nashville, their record was 96, set all the way back in 1880, and that record could be broken tomorrow. Another place, Peoria, Illinois, could also break their record tomorrow of 98 degrees, which was set back in 1894. Dan, tell us about some of the potential impacts that the heat wave like this can have.
Well, this type of heat can be life-threatening for some, especially if you aren't adequately prepared. Remember that heat-related illnesses such as heat exhaustion and heated stroke are possible under these extreme conditions. If you are traveling with young children or pets, please do not leave them unattended in a hot vehicle. The National Weather Service has issued some great heat safety tips. Drink before you're thirsty. Do not leave kids or pets in the car, even for a minute. Reduce time in the sun. Avoid strenuous activity. Postpone outdoor activities. Seek air-conditioned buildings. Help the elderly, kids, and pets stay cool. And keep window blinds cold. Those are all things that are going to help you out.
Exactly. So I know these next couple days are going to be really hot across portions of the central and southeastern U.S., so it's important to keep those tips in mind. So hopefully things will be cooling off here by the weekend once that storm system that's going to bring severe weather these next couple days, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, finally moves through and that ridge of high pressure breaks down across portions of the central and eastern U.S. So up next, we're going to be talking severe weather with Lady Disaster and CJ Orndorff right after this.
What is Coca-Cola? Is it an excuse to get together? Since 1886, Coca-Cola has been passing on smiles from generation to generation. We've been giving kids scholarships, like the early birds and the all-nighters. And you get to enjoy what matters most. Coca-Cola. Drink up.
Announcing Pizza Hut's new Applewood smoked bacon and melty cheese, stuffed in the crust. Pizza Hut's bacon stuffed crust pizza is here now with Applewood smoked bacon and loaded with cheese in one irresistible crust. Just $12.99 only at Pizza Hut. You're making me great.
All right, and we are back here at StormCast talking severe weather threat for this week. Tomorrow's going to be our main primary day for severe weather. And, you know, I certainly could go for some smoked bacon pizza right about now. I actually had pizza tonight for dinner. So hearing that commercial definitely made me, you know, want to go grab another slice. So, Jesse, want to let I know that we're expecting severe weather these next couple days. Tomorrow, the SPC has actually issued an enhanced risk of severe weather for portions of extreme southeastern Wyoming, northeast Colorado, and Nebraska and northwestern Kansas. It does include the eastern suburbs of Denver, Colorado, as well as Cheyenne, Wyoming. So tomorrow we could see primary threats going to be very large hail damaging winds, but definitely cannot rule out some tornadoes. Another thing is that severe weather threat is going to be shifting east into your area there, Jesse, for portions of Iowa, northern Missouri, northeastern Kansas, southeastern Nebraska, slight risk for Tuesday. This does include places like Des Moines, Lincoln, Nebraska, Kansas City. All those areas are in the slight risk for Tuesday. And then as we continue forward, there's still going to be a chance for some strong storms, possibly in portions of the Tennessee Valley. SPC has not issued any risk outlined areas for the day 4 through 8 period. Right now, the predictability is still a little bit low. The models are still varying, but definitely going to have the chance for, a lot of general thunderstorms, possibly some stronger storms across portions anywhere from the Ohio Valley all the way down to the Gulf Coast as we get into Wednesday through Friday. Then by Friday, that cold front will end up finally moving off to the East Coast. We're going to see some slightly cooler temperatures from what we've been seeing, more normal temperatures returning to portions of the Midwest, Plains, and the Southeast. So that is what we are looking at for the next couple of days concerning severe weather, with tomorrow being our primary risk day for, again, portions of northeastern Colorado, southeast Wyoming, Nebraska, and Kansas. I know the past couple of days we've also seen severe weather. Stephen was actually telling me about that tornado in Montana, so that was pretty interesting. Any additional reports there, Jesse, CJ, Dan, that you have heard about?
As far as Wyoming, not Wyoming, Montana, the tornado that was up there is confirmed. There are lots of pictures in forget what the town is right off the top of my head, but it did destroy a bunch of houses and stuff up there.
Yeah, I don't know if they've given it a rating as of yet, but yeah, I saw some of the pictures from that particular tornado that happened, and it definitely, our hearts go out to those that were affected by these storms and stuff like that. That was by.
I haven't heard of any updates on that today.
Yeah, I haven't seen any official. Yeah, as far as the category, what it was rated, or anything like that. So,
with all the damage that they had up there, personally, myself, I'm just guesstimating here is probably a good solid EF1.
Yeah, EF1, EF2 is what I was thinking too from the pictures that I saw. So definitely our thoughts and prayers go out to those affected by that. Also, right now, what?
Baker, Montana.
Baker, Montana. That's it. Yes. Thank you, Stephen, for that. Stephen, he's not on the video with us, but he's actually on the chat with us. How far is that from where you live? That's over on the eastern Montana and North Dakota border, if I remember correctly, right? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So it was good distance from him. I know Stephen was telling me that he had golf ball size hail falling at his location
That's impossible.
about 4 o'clock in the morning. So that was pretty significant. Up
That
next,
particular cell is rather weird.
yeah. Up next, we're going to take
I watched it yesterday.
Yeah. I remember seeing it. So up next, we'll take a look at tropical outlook, see if we got anything for the rest of the month. And then we'll close it out here on this evening's StormCast. We'll be right back here after this commercial.
Hi, Tom Bodette. Motel 6's new improved website lets you book a room and save more for what you travel for faster than ever. Even faster than you can find your keys, which you swore were right on the little hooky thing by the garage door where they always are, and we can land a robot on a comet, but we can't keep keys from disappearing. Oh, here they are. Left them in my jacket. Don't you hate that? I'm Tom Bodette for the new improved Motel6.com, and we'll leave the light on for you.
All right, welcome back to the StormCast tonight alongside CJ Orndorff, Jesse, and Dan tonight. Good to have you guys with us. Final topic for tonight is talking the tropics. We had tropical storm that crossed over Florida last week. Tropics have since then quieted down across the Atlantic. We are looking at a small system in the eastern Pacific that does have a 60% chance of formation over the next 5 days. This is just south of Mexico that we are looking at. An area of low pressure is expected to develop south of the coast of southern Mexico in a couple of days in association with a tropical wave that is currently located south of the Gulf of Tehuantepec. Environmental conditions are expected to be conducive for gradual development of the system, and a tropical depression could form later this week while the disturbance moves westward or west-northwest. So that is our one system that we're looking at in the eastern North Pacific. Concerning the Atlantic, mainly quiet, just a few little cloud clusters out there across portions of the Bahamas, and then south of Cape Verde Islands, but tropical cyclone activity and or formation is not expected during the next 48 hours. We do not have any disturbances that we are looking at. So let's get our final take for the evening here before we close out this week's blab. We'll start with CJ, then we'll let Dan give us his final take of the day, and close it out with Jesse here. So, CJ, what's your final take for this week's blab?
Come back to me.
All right, we'll come back to you. Dan, what's your final take for this week's blab?
I would say just watch the heat. As we talked about before, heed those warnings. Take the advice that was sent out. A lot of the things we already know already. Sometimes you just have to be reminded of it. It can sneak up on you quick, so just be safe and stay cool.
Exactly. Make sure you stay cool, stay hydrated, and stay smiling. That's what I have to say to that. Jesse, what's your final take for this week here on our StormCast?
Keep your eyes to the skies because we got some weather coming up here in the next few days. We will do our best to keep everybody alerted of these storms. And I'll do my best to keep the Facebook page updated with those as well.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate your help with the Facebook page. Definitely greatly appreciated. My final take for this week's blab, I definitely have to, go back to Dan, what we were saying with this tremendous heat. I know here in Atlanta, it has been, crazy hot. And, we feel sometimes we're so accustomed to this and we can, be okay just for a few hours out in the sun. But, it really is really important, especially, with kids and the elderly to, make sure they get that shelter, air conditioning and stuff like that. And then I know we talked about storm preparedness earlier, but it goes right into, heat preparedness, making sure that you're following those safety tips keeping an eye on your health, making sure that you're safe. Because that's what we here at Extreme Weather Videos are here for. We want to make sure we're, keeping you guys informed of different weather. It's not always just storms. We got heat, we got tropics, we do have severe weather. So I know tomorrow's going to be an active day. We're going to be watching for the threat for those tornadoes. And then, obviously, our hearts go out to I know it wasn't mentioned tonight, but the mass shooting in Orlando, Florida that happened this morning. Definitely keeping those families that were affected by that in our thoughts and prayers. CJ, what's your final take this week?
I'm going to echo Dan. Always watch your heat. Doesn't matter if you live in a big city like Atlanta or a small town like mine. It can still creep up.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, it's going to be hot next couple days. Should see a cool down by the weekend. We definitely want to thank all of you guys for joining us this week on StormCast. CJ, Jesse, Dan, Chris, Steven, all the others that were here with us. Definitely want to thank you guys for tuning in. And we look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday night at 10 o'clock here on The Blab. And that'll wrap it up for us here on this week on StormCast. She's shaking her head. She's like, nope. She's got something to say.
You've been listening to EWV Weather with StormCast, Storm Preparedness, Heat Wave, Severe Weather, Tropical Discussions with Joey, CJ, Dan, and me. I'm Lady Disaster, Jesse, EWV 103, and you've been paying close attention to what we're doing, but if not, just replay us back to your heart's content. We'll see you next time.
All right, guys, we will definitely see you all next week. Have a great week, everyone. Stay cool, stay hydrated, stay smiling. See you on Sunday.